Hello, and welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures that Outperform. I hope you've been following our series on how to increase workforce productivity. Nothing is more important. 4,700 CEOs surveyed by PwC agree that 40% of the work in their companies is just wasted productivity. I'm Frank Wander. I'm the founder and CEO of People Productive. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Terry Mays, who is a certified culture engineer. And in this episode, we're going to be covering how to fully increase workforce productivity by making sure people are fully empowered. People and companies struggle due to lack of empowerment. And if you're going to really increase workforce productivity, making sure that people feel empowered to take action and do things, it's just so important that they don't have to wait for decisions and chain of command. They can really go drive and run with what they need to run with. And by the way, it is a human need that humans want to feel like somewhat in control. And leaders have to give control up to empower people. And that's always the battle, right? Where is that line drawn between the control leaders want and the control they're going to give? And so, Tara, I'll let you chime in on this one, but lots for leaders to learn in this area.
Absolutely. There's a great balance between control and empowerment. So you want to make sure that you're leaning more on the empowerment side. You don't want to micromanage people.
No.
You want to give them the ability to make decisions, empower them to make decisions without waiting for permission to do every little step. There are some things that you do want to get some decision-making power over. But a lot of times, leaders are inserting themselves at a level where they don't need to be, and they're not inserting themselves in a level where they need to be. So make sure you're not micromanaging people to the point that they feel like they need to ask for permission for everything, and they cannot take steps within their own assignments without getting permission first. Because what that creates is dependence on you as a leader. And now you have become the bottleneck. You are the person that everybody is waiting for a decision or waiting for direction or the next step to take. So make sure you're empowering people so that they can make some decisions on their own when things get kind of gray and they're not really clear, or, there's a lot of ambiguity. Make sure that people understand how far can they go? And then at what point do you want to be engaged? You want to help them be a little bit more decisive about things and allow them the ability to do it. You'll be surprised at the leadership qualities that come out of people when they feel empowered and enabled so that they're able to do things and make decisions on their own. There's a certain level of freedom that comes when people feel that, I have the power and authority and I can make certain decisions. And so I'm not just being micromanaged and controlled every step of the way, but I have the ability to make some of these choices on my own and choose based on what I think is the best choice, and not feel like there are going to be some repercussions for me making this choice if I make a mistake. That people feel that freedom in order to make mistakes, because that's how we learn. That's part of the growing process, is by making mistakes and learning. Now, you don't want to just make the same mistakes over and over again, but you do want to give people that freedom and that empowerment so that they're able to make some decisions, make some mistakes, learn and grow.
Well, that's why when you're creating a norm around mistakes, it's mistakes are okay, repeated mistakes are not.
Right.
That's how you craft a norm in that area, because people are going to make mistakes and it's absolutely okay. But if they're not learning from them, that's a problem, because mistakes are learning experiences. And, when you're empowering people, you really want them to know that they're supposed to take action, even if there's a little ambiguity. Go out, find out what the answers are. Don't wait to be told what to do. When you have people standing around waiting for direction, guess what? You have a micromanager boss who wants to be involved in everything. If people are waiting around, waiting for direction, you've got a real leadership issue in your company. So people should be empowered to work across the organization. They shouldn't have to seek permission to go talk to other areas. You get paranoid leaders who want to control kind of the, communication coming out of their organization. So they want to make sure people aren't working across the company, because things might get shared that they don't want, because they control everything. And we've seen leaders like that, and they're very, very, very destructive, actually. And, this is part of the reason that, CEOs believe, and that 2024 PwC Global CEO Survey, 40% of the work in these organizations, according to CEOs, is just wasted productivity. People tied up in meetings, waiting for decisions, sitting around because they can't go talk across the organization and work with people. They have leaders who tell them what to do instead of ask questions when somebody's stuck. They say, hey, do it this way. People don't want to be told what to do. They want to be given some guidance, but there's this whole need for human self-determination to be able to shape the things you do and touch them. And that's a big piece of empowerment, actually, is that, your workers have that comfort that they can start to shape how they do the work to fit kind of their needs, how they can work at the times they need to work if you can be flexible enough. That's a nice thing because not everybody wants to work the exact same hours. And so there are many ways to empower people depending on the limitations of your organization. I understand some things are locked tight into a schedule because you're servicing people and whatnot. But when you can give people more flexibility and power, you got to do it because that's true empowerment. That's what gets you the best result.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else we have to consider in this space is allowing people the freedom to make the decision based on what they think and their own preferences, their own interests. So there are a lot of times that it doesn't really matter how you do something. The outcome is what you're most focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So give people the freedom to do it however they want to do it, if it doesn't really matter. Now, there are some things where, there's a meticulous order and structure to things, and sometimes it's not like that. But there are a lot of times when you can take your hands off the how and just focus in on the what needs to be accomplished, and let that person do it the way that they want to do it. And when they are able to do that, when they're able to interject their own personal preferences and thoughts around what they're working on, there's a connection that happens between you and that work. And now you feel fulfilled, like you have actually added value, that there's a contribution that you made that was different than if somebody else had completed this assignment. That is very much a morale booster.
Oh, big time.
If you're looking for a free way to do it, this is it. Allow people the freedom. We're building all these diverse organizations and we're focused in on bringing all these different people and cultures together. Allow people to use that diversity of thought and complete activities in a way that's rewarding for them. Don't focus in on making sure that everybody is thinking the way that you think, because they're different and diverse. They're not going to think the way you think. They're not going to approach the solution to the problem in the same way that you do. So don't enforce that on them as a leader. Force people to make decisions the way you would make decisions, because they're not you. They're a totally different person with a totally different background and upbringing. Allow people the flexibility and freedom to be who they are and make those decisions the way they would make them, not the way you would make them. You'll see so much morale improvement just by giving people that liberty to make the choice based on what they think is best.
Humans 100% need to touch the things they're working on in a way that's unique to them. There's many different, everybody's got a unique brain. They've got different DNA. The brain is developed a little bit differently. They see things slightly differently. That's the advantage.
Right.
That's the advantage.
Don't make people feel bad because they see things from a different perspective. So many times the odd man out is pushed out, when you don't think like everybody else in the group and you see things from a different perspective, people see that as combative. But a lot of times the person is not trying to be combative. They just see things differently. So you want to take that into consideration, because that diverse thought could actually help you, not even could, but will actually help you in your organization as a whole to see things that you may never see, to see your blind spots, those things that you may never know, those ways of looking at things that you may have never considered. That's why you want a diverse group. That's precisely why. So don't snuff it out of people and stifle them by forcing the diverse person to be just like everybody else in the room.
Yeah.
What a waste.
What a waste. Yeah. And, make sure, in terms of empowerment, you're helping them grow along the way. We have, we've talked about achievement many times. Those achievement needs have to be fulfilled. it is super important that you empower people and allow them to grow as a result of kind of learning things on their own, making their own decisions, and failing a few times along the way. Although you have controls in place, these are the guardrails to make sure they don't fail in a way that ends up hurting the organization. Right? Little failures are okay, but there is a certain level of control in every organization to make sure things don't derail, and you still have to have that. So it's never a free for all, but they're empowered within those guardrails to do whatever they need to do, meet with whomever they need to meet with, talk to whomever they need to talk to. That's what real empowerment is. They can work across the organization. They're got the relationships. They can build them further. They get done what they have to get done. Tara, anything else you want to add about empowerment here?
Yeah, this is a huge one.
Yeah, it
We could
is.
spend all day talking about this, but the bottom line is you want to empower people. You want them to feel like they can make intelligent choices. So we're not saying be reckless.
Yeah,
This is not a
exactly.
license to just let people, make all the wrong choices. You want to make sure that the person is really giving some thought and they're, taking an analytical approach to solving the problems. Like all of those things apply still. But when you can empower people to make some decisions on their own and insert a little bit their own personality into the work that they're completing,
Mhm.
and that morale boost is off the
Huge.
chart. It's
Absolutely
huge.
right. Absolutely right. And always trust, let them go, but verify. You got to
Yes.
do that. And then your workers. I mean, at a certain point, you could just totally let them go. They're totally reliable, trustworthy. You know what people's strengths and weaknesses are, so you let them go. I mean, that's what you do. So we're going to be here next week, and we're going to be talking about kind of creating now a high vibe environment. You've got the people have found meaning, they're working together, there's a caring culture. You're up here on level 3. Now you want to create a great vibe in the environment, right? To get people amped up to another level. And so that's really super important, no question about it. And
Yes.
so we'll see you. Hope to see you next Wednesday, 3 o'clock. We're here every week. So take care till then.